Hey folks, I'm Tom Vassell.
Hello, I'm Sam Healy. Welcome back, folks.
Just the two of us today. Zee had some family things to take care of, so he'll be out the rest of the week, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But he never liked Ticket to Ride anyway. That's not true. That's not true. He likes.
We didn't want his input anyway.
We're here to talk about Ticket to Ride. Deep Dice Tower Dive is where we take a look at something from the past and go maybe a little bit more into depth about it with some input from our contributors. And of course, if you have comments about Ticket to Ride or questions, put them in the thing and we'll talk about them.
Specifically the board game Ticket to Ride as well.
She's got a ticket to ride. All right, so Ticket to Ride, designed by Alan Moon, who has on occasion shown up on the Dice Tower podcast. All right, well,
Rather
Alan Moon,
memorable occasions as well.
Alan Moon is mostly known for Ticket to Ride, period. It's his most famous game, but he did not start with Ticket to Ride. He actually started with a small company that he himself made called White Wind. And in fact, the games from White Wind, if you have any of these games like in mint or close to that kind of condition, you will, they're fairly valuable. This was from 1990 to 1997 that White Wind lasted.
Huh.
Here's some
Not a bad
examples of White Wind games.
Rainbows.
Santa Fe is probably one of the more well-known ones, but the most well-known one here is actually Elfin Roads. Later on, Elfin Roads was changed to Elfin Land. They streamlined it, and it won him the Spiel des Jahres, which was a really big deal and was his most famous game ever until Ticket to Ride.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure if I played any of these games other than Elfin Roads.
Freight Train is the actual precursor to Ticket to Ride.
Well, actually, no. The precursor to Ticket to Ride was this game, Airlines.
Airlines.
A baggage spiel. Now, Airlines was later rethemed into Union Pacific, and then Union Pacific was rethemed into Airlines Europe. Now, it's not very Ticket to Ride-ish, but the thing is, when Ticket to Ride first came out, people said, didn't he already make this game in Union Pacific? And that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
So while Alan Moon was doing all that, and Alan Moon, he said he was like a waiter at this point in time, and he was thinking about getting out of the game design business, but he found this game design, sent it off to 3 different companies. 2 of them did not respond. The 3rd company came and met with him, and that company was Days of Wonder. This here was
Who are the other 2 companies?
I don't know. He didn't. It didn't say in the article. No, I don't know.
You won't say?
Those companies,
have you asked him?
Oh, I guess I could ask him. Those companies would probably sit around like.
I know, right? I'd love to go up to their CEOs and it's like, you messed up on that one.
So this is Eric Hautemont. He was the president of Days of Wonder about 7 years ago. I think he left, something around that. Really nice guy. And in fact, in this case where the Dice Tower and Ticket to Ride crossed, he actually was in the process of getting Ticket to Ride. I first met him because we emailed him and asked for a review copy. This was well over like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
We asked for a review copy, and he called me up, and Laura said, there's some foreign guy on the phone. He had a really strong French accent. And he's like, is this Tom Vass? I was like, I didn't do nothing. But he was just confirming that
Interpol.
he was sending to Korea to an American to get a game reviewed. So I did play his initial games, and then when he was making Ticket to Ride, he flew to China to inspect it at the company and stopped in and showed it to us at in Korea. I don't know if you were there. He also shows Memoir 44. Like in a hotel room. I played Ticket to Ride
Definitely
with him on a hotel bed. And when he pulled it out, he said, this game is going to be huge. And I was
Which
like,
one was he talking about?
Ticket to Ride.
Oh.
And I looked at it and I was like, sure. It's trains, and you're just putting them on a map, and you play some cards, and we played through it. And I was like, all right, maybe this is pretty good. And then he came to the church, to our game night, and brought it again, and you were there that time. So, Ticket to Ride here, which came from Days of Wonder, is a collectible game. And I should mention, by the way, back to Days of Wonder, they were most well known for Mystery of the Abbey, Fist of Dragon Sons, Queen's Necklace, some small games. Mystery Abbey was a bigger game, but they were known for their beautiful production. But this is the game that put them on the map, Ticket to Ride.
See what you did there. Put it on the map.
Yeah. Speaking of map, there we go. Map! Now, Ticket to Ride is sort of a spin-off of Rummy. where you're collecting cards and
Yeah,
then turning
definitely.
in sets of cards to build trains across the map. And the original game came out, and it was gangbusters almost instantly. This game holds a special spot for me because this is one of the first. I got the first review of Ticket to Ride up, and that was a big deal at that point in time.
That is cool.
I didn't get first reviews of games very often, and that kind of helped put me on the map as a reviewer. This is back in 2004. And this game took off well. When the Spiel des Jahres, which is the biggest gaming award in the world, came up, it was kind of like, oh, who's going to lose a Ticket to Ride? I mean, Ingenious was one of the games, and Ingenious is a solid game that might have won any other year, but it did not. But he wasn't done with Ticket to Ride, of course. This was in 2004. We then, in 2005, first we had the tiny little Mystery Train Ticket to Ride expansion that nobody plays today. But it was like a few extra cards and things.
Yeah.
And then Ticket to Ride Europe, which is one of the few rare sequels to a board game that did almost as well.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think on Board Game Geek, it is ranked higher than the original game.
It's ranked higher.
It was for a very long time. And I think part of it is because it's added in a few new things that made the game actually slightly less mean. In 2006, they came out with an expansion called 1910 for Ticket to Ride. This was a card set that a lot of people bought. When Ticket to Ride first came out, it had Hobbit-sized cards.
Hobbit size, yeah. Fun size cards.
And then this one made them bigger and added a whole bunch of tickets. And honestly, I will never play without 1910.
Yeah. This is like, when you're talking about like essential expansions, this is like what they have a picture of this in the dictionary.
Yeah, that's really the truth
sorry,
of it.
You cannot do that. Somebody else said my favorite Ticket to Ride is Turning Taxis.
Anyhow, someone says my written review of Mystery Train says I'll never play without this. Yeah. So times change.
Markland is my favorite one.
Yep, Ticket to Ride Markland, that also came out in 2006. And this one actually did not do as well as the first two. I don't know why. First of all, they were using the model trains. It has the coolest cards of the set.
It's a little bit of a niche market as far as Ticket to Ride is concerned. I mean, Ticket to Ride has this huge market audience, right? And then Markland has this. We're going to go after these people that do the hobby train sets.
Yeah, but I didn't care about that. I think it was just too complex for most
maybe
people.
so.
Moving the passengers
It's a
around.
little fiddly.
It's still my favorite of the standalone ones.
Mine too.
Then the following year, in 2007, they came out with Ticket to Ride Switzerland and Ticket to Ride Nordic Countries. This actually might be 2008 too. I'm not sure what the years are. But Switzerland was well known because it was the first Ticket to Ride that almost felt like it was made for two players. Mm-hmm. And then Nordic Countries was annoying because they didn't release it in America for years. And I'd be like, I want this one. And people are like, you're not missing anything. I was like, oh, God, I don't have it. Has purple trains.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not every story has all happiness. So then the next turmoil year, 2008, the dice expansion and the card game both came out.
Now, we were talking about essential expansions earlier.
Yeah.
This is the opposite of that.
All right, so, Ticket to Ride the card game is okay. It's a memory-based game that honestly doesn't really hold a lot of similarities to Ticket to Ride. It just doesn't. It's a memorization game. Ticket to Ride, the dice expansion, basically got rid of the card deck. You would roll a bunch of dice and almost like push your luck style, and the number of tracks you could just build between cities. It completely changed the game.
In a bad way.
In a bad way. And if you go look at the ratings for it on Board Game Geek, it's gone. The company pretends it doesn't exist. You don't see anyone playing it. No one's like, Ticket to Ride, dice, my favorite version. I shouldn't say that. There's always
Somebody's going to say it right
somebody
here.
Somewhere like, my favorite way to play. No, not true. After this, they started releasing map packs. And here are the 6 that are out currently. We have United Kingdom and Pennsylvania, France, and the Old West, the Netherlands, India and Switzerland, Heart of Africa, Asia, and Legendary Asia. Couple comments. Some of these were just a map. Or they all came with some cards, I guess they had to. But some of them were bigger than others. Ticket to Ride Asia allowed you to play in teams. Ticket to Ride United Kingdom did not let you do all the rules right away. You had to build up technology to do that.
That's a cool thing.
And then the other three were a little normal, but they had some variances. And Switzerland was already released, but they released it again in India.
France in the Old West is a good one too.
My favorite is the UK, Pennsylvania, followed by France in the Old West, but I like them all. I think they're all fantastic maps.
Yeah, I don't know that I've played all of them, but the France and UK ones are probably my favorite, yeah.
So then we jump to then kind of the spin-offs of Ticket to Ride and up to where we're at today. We have the kids version, Ticket to Ride First Journey. They made a US and a American version. Alvin and Dexter was a little...
You just said a US and an American version.
and in a European version, sorry. Alvin and Dexter was a little expansion they released about monsters that walked around, and it's cute and funny, and no one ever plays with it. They put it back in the Old West one, I guess.
We played with it a few times, but yeah, nowhere near the amount of times.
Ticket to Ride Germany was a remaking of Markland,
yeah.
but it changed the rules. Actually, Markland is way better in my opinion. And then Ticket to Ride 10th Anniversary Edition was a $100 version of the game, which though is incredibly cool.
Yeah.
Looks really nice. I have a copy of it. It's really great version. And then Ticket to Ride New York, which came out last year, and I believe they have not announced it, but I believe this is the future of the franchise. This was a 15-minute game, and I would not be surprised if we see 6 more of these over the next few years.
Didn't realize that they had the Fonz on the cover of it.
The Fonz and the guy from Mad Men.
Yes, that is correct.
Who they
and
apparently
the happiest taxi driver ever.
So it can't be New York. Then there's also other weird. Oh, then this. Now, this is a big deal, and this is one of the reasons Ticket to Ride is successful. When they first made Ticket to Ride, they said, "Hey, let's put it online for free." Al Moon said, "I don't think that's a good idea," and they were like, "No." And they said once they put it online for free, sales went up 30%.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. And so
Because people played it online and then went and bought a copy of it.
Yes, because no one is going to play it online instead of buying a copy. Like no one's going to sit there and go, at that point in time, people were not like, I was going to buy one, I'll play it online. People just played online because, hey, it's a free Flash game.
Right.
And they also did a really good job of it. Even today, which now migrated to iPads and iPhones, the Ticket to Ride is just, it's still, years later, one of the best implementations of this. But they said people went on. There are people with over 100,000 logged plays of this.
Wow. I am not one of those people.
I would not play a game against one of those people.
Yeah, I know, right?
But I did go online. I actually went online, I think, and played against, some other, reviewers and things. It was a neat idea, and it really helped push the game.
Yep.
There's also other weird stuff you can get. Pumpkin trains. They released a Halloween set.
Pumpkin trains?
I have the pumpkin trains. These milk trains, I've never even seen them. This irritates me. I want them.
Milk trains? What?
Yes.
Character score markers?
I haven't even seen those either, right?
What? Milk trains?
I want those.
Those are cool.
Yeah. And then the translucent trains, those they gave out at like tournaments. So they have different tournaments, or as prizes, you get like different colors. I have most of the colors that I managed to get at different points.
I got the green ones, that's it.
They're okay.
Yeah.
They're translucent trains. So Ticket to Ride won the Spiel des Jahres in 2004. It also won the Origins Award in 2004, the Japan Board Game Prize, Bruta Fiduci's Game of the Year, Parent Choice Foundation, blah, 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 blah. It won all the awards in 2004 and then 2005. And then it probably is still winning awards.
Yeah, it's had a lot of them.
It's also sold over 5 million copies. Probably more than that at this point in time. I think they're including all the versions of it.
You'll see this later, but in 2014, they reported they had sold over 3 million with 150 million sales.
Sure, but I saw a box with a sticker on it that said over 5 million sold.
Yeah.
So, well, that's your history of the Dice Tower. I mean, not the Dice Tower, the Ticket to Ride. I wish it was a Dice Tower because we'd be sitting here on a golden throne at this point.
Ready for the quiz, kids?
There's no quiz. But before we go any farther, let's toss it over to our contributors and see what they think.
There we go.
got a ticket to ride. She's got a ticket to ride. Hello, my name's Jonathan from Board Game Opinions. Now, Ticket to Ride is one of those classic gateway games. But what makes a gateway game? How come some games manage to stand the test of time, like Ticket to Ride clearly has, and some games kind of fall by the wayside? Well, first and foremost, you just can't go wrong with trains. I don't know what it is, but I really enjoy playing with trains. It reminds me of being a kid or something, but you know, in the game, you're building your little bits of track out on the board, and it's really satisfying. Some games do this very well actually, but that sense of at the end of the game you look and you're like, I've built that. You know, in Ticket to Ride you see your little routes snaking around the board all over the place. It's like I've achieved something, and that's very satisfying. I think that counts for quite a lot. Gateway games obviously though have to be fairly simple, and Ticket to Ride does, you know, the mechanisms, just the hand management is very simple. You have a big hand of cards and you either pick a card, ooh, I want the red one, or there's the exciting blind choice off the top. What's it going to be? I've got a multicoloured one, that's even better. Or obviously you're spending the cards to build the tracks, you know, putting your trains out on the track. And you can just sort of save them up and say, oh, I've got 4 oranges, I'm going to build my track now. But it's also, as well as being simple, it's strategic. And that's quite unusual. It's a very hard balance to strike, because you can play this with gamers as well as people who are new to gaming, or people like family members and things. It goes down really well with a wide variety of people, because you can just play your cards kind of as soon as you get them, or you can save up for the bigger routes. But obviously the more you save up, the more likely you are to get beaten out of the different routes. You know, there's no hand limit, so you can potentially store up a lot of cards. It's one of the reasons actually why I prefer the Ticket to Ride Europe version rather than the base game, because in the base game you can get beaten out and it's like, oh, I just can't go down that route now. But with the Europe version you get the nice little stations which you can put on, so you can effectively use other people's routes, so it's not quite as mean. I've also got the Nordic Countries version, which is 2 to 3 players. Although this one's quite mean. We've had a few tears playing that one. So yeah, classic gateway game. It needs to be simple, but also be able to play a wide variety of people. I think that's the key thing that's going to let it stand the test of time. But ultimately, you can't go wrong with trains.
Hey guys, I'm ready.
I'm Ellen. Welcome to Dice Tower Dive.
6.
10.
That was no effort.
That was a 10.
No effort.
My arm is comfortable now, right?
That's what the Olympians say every year.
My arm was comfortable.
That's why they didn't get a good score.
Well, okay. This week's topic is Ticket to Ride.
An excellent gateway game.
Yeah, totally. I honestly feel like you go to the store, you mention board games to someone, they think of Monopoly. I feel like Ticket to Ride is creeping up
It's starting to get there.
in Monopoly's territory.
I'm surprised at how many people I've talked to that didn't know played any games whatsoever.
Yeah.
And Ticket to Ride is like one of those that they've played.
You go to Walmart or Target, it's right there. Like, everybody knows it. I don't know. I feel like it's so popular right now.
It looks good. It's simple to pick up.
Yeah.
It's got nice little, little 3D trains, little plastic trains.
Those are cute.
My parents happen to like this game a lot. Your parents happen to like it a
Who are
lot.
all non-gamers. They picked it right up and loved it.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, what else you got in your collection? So that was kind of cool.
And actually, one of the things that we did was when they played the original and they liked it, we brought out a different map, something a little bit more gamery, as people say.
Gamery. I just heard that.
It's a word now in the dictionary.
It's currently now a word.
Well, you can add some of the more advanced maps that do different things. You can find the ones that you prefer the most. I really like the UK board. It has like the tech tree that you upgrade your train to be able to go to different routes. So it actually incorporates a lot of different, more advanced mechanics from other games.
Yeah.
And only puts in maybe 1 or 2 of them. Gets you kind of into the next level. People don't feel like they're learning a brand new game. It's just kind of like a new little add-on to it. And it's worked really well in those kind of situations.
Yeah. Plus, tech tree's fun to say.
And you said Ticket to Ride is one of your first games you've played, right?
Yeah. So, like, when you tried getting me into games for 6 years, and I said no every single time, and finally I did.
Yes.
We played Pandemic first.
Which you hated.
No, I liked it until the 20 millionth game.
No, that's not true.
And then I OD'd
You hated it on the second game.
Oh my gosh. It's because I don't like people telling me what to do.
Well, that's a different story for a different time.
That's true.
But Ticket to Ride I brought in, and you did like.
And I did like it.
So,
Yeah.
this woman is sitting here in front of you today
I am. This is proof.
because of Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, it really brought you in.
It
It's
did.
one of the first things that finally grabbed you, and then you built on and built on like
Yeah.
everybody else.
That's true.
But it was like one of those games.
Yeah.
And you don't have any affinity for trains or anything like that.
I really
so
don't.
somebody can play the game, and you can tell them any store to go to, and they can go pick up their own copy.
Any store. Walmart, go.
Target?
Pick and Save,
No.
Aldi,
No.
well,
Let's name stores that do have it.
not feed stores. I'm hungry.
Right. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
So, Ticket to Ride, it's not just a great song by the Beatles, it's also a brilliant board game. It's one of the games that really got me into the hobby at the start. I played sort of a few games that were really sort of more party-like games, but this was one of the first ones where I got the board on the table and got different people to play it. It wasn't just gamers, it was family and friends alike. And that's what Ticket to Ride is to me. It's that game that I can play with anyone, and it doesn't really matter how hardcore a gamer they are, they can still at least appreciate that we'll have an hour of some light-hearted fun. Now, probably for me, Europe is my favourite. That's mostly because it's the easiest to get to the table. Everyone that I know, because we live in the UK, knows the map of Europe. America, Asia, I like these variants, but it gets a little complicated when you're like, I'm not entirely sure where that place is. You're really having to look at the cards and then peer around the map, and it kind of gives away where you're going for. Apart from that, every map has a nice little difference to it. There is one map, however, that I'm not a fan of, and it's slightly annoying because it's the UK one. Now, for me, Ticket to Ride is brilliant because it's very simple. You are effectively drawing train cards to play sets of cards to claim routes and fulfill ticket destination cards. The UK one adds too much to that, I think. Instead of just trying to maybe get some bits on the side, collect some meeples along the way, you're having to do different things. You can't do this until you've done that, and I'd rather play other games. But for the most part, Ticket to Ride is a great game to get to the table with anyone.
Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of If You Like That, You Might Like This. This week's main game is the Ticket to Ride series. This is probably one of my most played games in my collection, and I always try and get the new map collections when they come out. Now it also always seems to be the default game to pull off the shelf when my group doesn't know what to play. A true classic. So I'm going to be giving you 3 games to try if you like Ticket to Ride's theme, mechanism, and the feel that it gives you. Now the first category is theme. If you like the Ticket to Ride theme of building railroad routes on the map, well, there are a lot of train games out there, but I want to keep it a bit more on the lighter side and not go with a deep, heavy, long train game. So I chose Railways of the World. Now this does give you more of the management feel of your train routes, where you have to manage your money and your bonds, but not only will you be building track on your turn to make connections to deliver goods, you'll also be able to place new cities on the board, upgrade your engine, or select a railroad operations card. At the end of the player's turn, you're going to be receiving money based on your income level, but also have to pay back any bonds that you have issued. Now, it's definitely a step up in complexity from Ticket to Ride, but it's still essentially a track building game, and that's Railways of the World. Now, the next category to look at is mechanism. Now, this is a game that may not have the same theme, but has similar mechanisms. And for that category, I went again with something a bit more complex, but one that had similar mechanisms. And that game is Concordia. Now, although there are no trains in this game, the game does have 2 very similar mechanisms to Ticket to Ride. You have to manage your hand of cards, and you need to basically expand your routes by putting your colonists in foreign cities. Now, a lot of the game, though, like Ticket to Ride, is proper hand management. The cards in your hand are how you perform actions, but when you play them and when you pull them back is really the key to the game. And of course, getting more cards is essential, as the cards in your possession at the end of the game will determine how you score victory points. Again, this game is a little more complicated than Ticket to Ride, but the mechanisms are similar. So that is Concordia. Now the last category is a wildcard category, a game that may not be connected by theme or mechanism, but gives me the same type of feel as Ticket to Ride. And for this category, I went with the 10 Days In series. Now unfortunately, I have no longer have them in my collection, but my wife and I almost always try to play these games at least once at a con, and I'm showing some pictures of them here. Now this game is definitely less complex than the previous games in this segment, as you're basically just drawing tiles and putting them in order. You start with a random series of tiles that show places and modes of transportation, and your goal is to get them in order so you can travel from one to the next, to the next, to the next via the transportation tiles. On your turn, all you're going to be doing is either drawing a tile and replacing one of the tiles in your row, or you can switch 2 tiles in your row. The first person to be able to travel from day 1 to day 10 by game legal methods is the winner. A quick and fun game, and that is one of the 10 Days In series. So, those are my 3 games based on the Ticket to Ride theme, mechanisms, and a wildcard feel. I'd love to hear what you suggest in the comments below.
Yes. Yes. I didn't mention Ticket to Ride Rails and Sails because that one I didn't like as much. No.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was pretty good.
It did not do well though,
of course it
unfortunately.
didn't.
But yes, this was another one. This one was kind of a weird one because this wasn't in their map collection. It was like a standalone, but they hadn't done a standalone in years, really. Nah. Okay, so Ticket to Ride. This is certainly, it's both on my most played games list. It's on it's on my top 100. It's the game I played with my wife the most, probably. Well, maybe Lost Cities, but no, maybe Ticket to Ride. And it's, I don't know, I just think it's a great game, and it certainly stood the test of time.
It's probably on my most played list as well, if only because of the times that I've played it online, if we're counting those. As far as making it to the table, I've still played it a lot.
Well, especially when you include all the maps.
Yeah.
There's just so much of it. And it's funny because Ticket to Ride can be played like with casual people, like, hey, it's a great, we consider it one of the best gateway games, but it can also be so vicious.
No, very much so.
Especially with those maps.
Nordic Countries, it has the moniker of being the one map that has made me rage quit a game. And it's one of the only games that I've ever rage quit as well, because that's not something you should do. I'm not touting it as, woohoo, look what I did. But, it just has that moniker as being that the board is so tight, and you can only play it with 3 players, and oh my goodness, it's just, they went to Europe, and it was like, let's lighten this up a little bit and make it not as nasty, and they were like,
sure, it's a whole lot less nasty.
Let's go back to that because we like the nasty. That's basically what it was.
Did you think Ticket to Ride Europe was too nice? Here's Africa and Asia. Right. Yeah, and
exactly.
I've not rage quit because I just don't do that sort of thing.
Right.
But I've wanted to after India. Oh my word!
I have played Risk 2210.
Yeah. We swore a blood oath to never speak of that day.
Yes.
Where everyone rage quit.
Yes.
But Ticket to Ride is really great. I'm really happy with the new New York one.
Yeah.
Because it's even faster. It's like the kind of gift you can give somebody, and they can play really quickly. Here's how you play. You play with someone. And I kind of went into it with a negative attitude, and when he said, oh, this is a 15-minute game, I was like, well, was anyone asking for this? Yeah. I thought Ticket to Ride was a fine length. But this is a game that I will give out as a gift. I think that the theme is very innocuous, although there has been controversy along the way. When it first came out, people went on and on about how one of the cities wasn't quite exactly where it was geographically.
Chicago.
But they needed to put the trains between it.
Yeah.
You couldn't, move them.
Yeah.
If you're using Ticket to Ride to teach the exact geographical location of a city, you shouldn't.
You should use
a map. That's what I would use.
You should use the other one, the train.
Age of Steam?
No, not Age of Steam. The I can't remember.
Transamerica?
The one you don't like, yeah, Transamerica, because that was a lot better. It wasn't.
Have I played this with Laura more than Rook? Easily. And here's why, because Laura doesn't want to play Rook with me. She says I'm a bad partner.
Because you a cheater.
No, like there was a tournament at college, and she got a partner. I was like, wait, I thought we were engaged, and she said, yeah, but you're not good enough at this game.
Snap.
It was the truth of it. What's the kindest Ticket to Ride map? Europe, easily.
Yeah, probably so.
I can't think of another one that's kind. They're all the rest of them you fight to the death. I mean, you can still make Europe mean, but it's the kindest one.
Markland isn't that mean. I mean, I guess it could get mean with the moving passengers around and out from underneath people and stuff like that. But I don't think Markland is that mean of a map. So.
Yeah, well, Markland just makes me nervous the whole time because I'm sweating there like, don't move that passenger. I want to move it, but not yet because I want to get some more points. All right, I'm going to move it in 2 turns, then Sam moves it.
That's the way it goes.
But overall, this is a game that's a good price point. The components are cheap, and I think it's one of the few games that works well for new people and people who played before.
I would agree with that, yeah.
Anyone who says that it's basic luck, whatever, play me,
No, yeah.
and I will whoop you. Hopefully, unless you're really good at the game. But if you said it's mostly luck, then I assume that you're not really good at the game.
I don't know. I've seen some people who have a lot of games under their belt get beat by somebody that's a newer player.
Sure, I don't think it's pure strategy.
Especially at the near the end of the game, if you're drawing extra train tickets, you can get really lucky on those train ticket draws, or you can get really not lucky.
Oh, I did it
on
all
those
the
train
time
ticket
now.
draws.
The game will be over, final turn. I'll be like, I'll just draw some routes.
Don't.
That's a really bad strategy. But
Not
if it
always.
works, it's
It works.
amazing.
Yeah.
Of course, if you know where the trains are, and that's one thing about Ticket to Ride, if you have all the routes memorized, which some people do, and it annoys me about them, like my wife, and you can know, for example, oh, I've already seen 3 tickets connect to Las Vegas. Las Vegas only has so many tickets. I'm not going to connect there, or whatever. That's why.
So you're counting tickets.
Yes, but that's why 1910 helped,
And
because
Ticket to Ride.
1910 had so many tickets, it's a lot harder to count.
Okay.
But the original said it was.
Gary S. has a question. I've never played the Ticket to Ride Germany. How is Markland different than Germany?
In Markland, there are these passenger tokens that you can put on the board, and you have these passenger cards. You can move these tokens on your turn as one of your actions, and they will pick up the top token of the piles. There's a bunch of tokens of piles, and they get progressively lower, so you want to do it first.
Right.
But you have to move them only on your train routes, and you have to use a passenger card to move them on someone else's.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a push your luck aspect. The new one puts a bunch of meeples in each city, and when you connect it, you can take one of the meeples from one of the cities. So it's like another set collection thing.
Huh.
And then you get points for how many, I forget, different
Got it.
colors, same colors, whatever.
Got it. $65 for the milk train set plus purple trains.
No!
$65!
No, you can
Oh
buy
my.
copy of Ticket to Ride or one of the map expansions.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm still going to go look at it.
Sorry, what's a milk train?
Did the 1910 cards fit in a regular Ticket to Ride box? Yes, but I don't know if that means in the insert, because I usually get rid of the inserts.
Well, you can fit them in the box because I kept the insert. I also kept the Hobbit size cards
did?
as well. Yeah.
Why?
Because it's part of the base game.
Nostalgia.
Anyway, what I do is I take one of the what is it? I think I've taken one of the or a couple of the wells that hold the trains, and I've put those trains into other wells, and the sets of cards go into those wells. So it works.
However, the little cards were only an issue for the first few years of printing. They eventually, now, if you buy a copy now, they're big cards.
Yeah.
They also didn't have symbols on the board in the first couple printings. And then they added those for colorblind folk as time went by, and now they have them on all the boards.
You sounded super Southern right there. Colorblind folk.
Okay. Actually, our board.
For all you folks out there that are colorblind, Ticket to Ride got you. They got you back.
It's on Xbox. It's on PS4. It's on the iPad. I don't think it's on the Switch yet, but it's definitely out there on a whole lot of different things. Well, anyway, that's pretty much Ticket to Ride, right? My favorite way to play it is with fewer players rather than more. It's a great 2-player game, and I'll gladly play it even now. Even the base game. I want to play with 1910, but even the base game, I'll be on the plane and I'll be like, let's see if I can whoop up on the computer. I can.
Yeah.
And it's a great experience. So I'm glad Ticket to Ride definitely made Alan Moon a very well-known and rich designer. It put Days of Wonder on the map and made them a very well-known and soluble company. And it really helped our hobby. It's a game that got a lot of people into the hobby.
The Urban Caver says, what about Ticket to Ride Demo Edition? It actually exists. We saw a copy of it last year at the gathering because he gave it away at the prize.
I wanted that, actually.
At the dinner. Yeah, I know. That's the
I
one
wanted
thing
it just because
right?
it was a piece of history.
Yeah, exactly. But he actually had a copy of the demo version of Ticket to Ride that he was taking around to show to people. And he gave it away at the dinner on the last night.
So this is how he sold it to Days of Wonder. He brought it in, they started playing it, and they were playing it, and they're like, that's pretty interesting. And like 20 minutes in, he wiped the board, and he said, okay, so now you know how it plays. And they're like, we wanted to keep playing that. He's like, well, if you want to buy it,
publish it.
let me know.
Wow. That's funny.
So, so that I wouldn't recommend necessarily doing that. But yeah, Ticket to Ride has done really well over the years with kid version stuff. You can say, whenever this happens, people are like, oh, here they are milking a dead horse. That's
why they came out with the milk trains.
I think milking a dead horse is
They
not
were
the right,
milking all
the right
those
phraseology
dead
there.
horses that if you're milking
Milking a
a dead
cow.
horse, science, baby.
Okay, anyway. But people say that, but I don't think it, yes, to some extent it's true. Obviously, something's going to be successful, but
Right.
I feel like each map has added more stuff. And interestingly enough, when compared to Catan, Ticket to Ride doesn't seem to have the people who go, well, I used to play Ticket to Ride, but I don't, which Catan does of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Ticket to Ride still is in a lot of people's
Yeah.
collections.
It does. Ross Updike said that the original still has Hobbit size cards, actually. He says that they haven't upgraded to the big size cards.
Are you sure? I thought if you bought it, you got the bigger cards.
I haven't bought it in a while. I haven't bought it in almost like a decade now.
Sure.
So,
Well, I'll just go buy a copy to find out. That seems like a wise, strategic move.
Ben Powell says, I don't think you even milk live horses.
Okay.
Is that better or worse than milking a live horse?
Let's move on. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching.
That
we'll
has
be
to
back
be a Tom meme from now
in
on.
a few weeks with another Dice Tower dive. Until next time, I'm Tom Bassel.
Sam Healy, not milking a dead horse.
Yeah.